Hi everyone, Materim here again with another narrative battle report, and you guys have been asking for this one for a while. We'll finally get to see what happened to Torga Blackstew. We have the Ogre Kingdoms taking on the Demons of Chaos in a 2,000 point battle line scenario. As the winds of magic died down, Torga Blackstew was surprised to discover that she was no longer on the battlefield. She found herself in a strange and colorful garden, the likes of which she had never seen. The smell of plants was mixed with the sickly sweet scent of plague and death. She had just woken up the courage to begin moving through the undergrowth. A huge shadow fell upon her. She looked up to see the pestilent form of Kurgath Plaguefather staring down at her. "So," he rumbled, "this is the lost little ogress who sought the power of Nagash." Torga could hardly speak, so she just weakly nodded. The demon chuckled. "Now you see how Nagash rewards such service, with abandonment." Torga realized that Kurgath spoke the truth, and knew she would likely die for her mistake of abandoning the Great Maw. Kurgath saw her fear and placed a hand gently on her head, patting Torga like a lost puppy. "Don't worry, little one. Even if the great necromancer has abandoned you, Grandfather Nurgle is not so unkind." Torga looked up, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "What do you mean?" The greater demon smiled. "I have come looking for you. Grandfather Nurgle has commanded that we seek out all those harmed by the lies of Nagash, and offer them a chance to make up for the lapse in judgment in siding with him. I have come to offer that chance to you, Torga, and with it the power you failed to attain in service to the great necromancer." "I accept," she said greedily. "Excellent. You will receive the blessings of Grandfather Nurgle, and return to the world as one of his princesses. Your task will be to bring the rest of your clan into his service." "But my father and Chog will never turn from the Great Maw." "Then, my dear," the demon said patiently, "they will have to die." So, Torga returns to the world as the Princess of Rot, leading her demonic forces, to find herself opposed by Chog the Toothy, the Slaughtermaster of the White Tooth, and those forces loyal to him. We find ourselves fighting in a fairly open field. There's a mysterious forest to my left. The triangle in the center there is Arcane Ruins, and the Mystery Swamp is there on the right. Everything else is pretty normal. And so there's going to be plenty of room to mix it up here in the middle. Tonight I will be taking command of Torga and her demonic crew, and Michael, our usual dwarf and beastman player, will be taking command of Chog the Toothy and his ogre forces. So, starting on the left, we have a unit of 4 lead belchers with a bellower, a single saber tusk, a unit of 15 ogre bulls with full command. In them is Chog the Toothy with no upgrades whatsoever, and a battle standard bearer with nothing but a lookout Noblar on him. Actually, the unit, he may be holding the Dragonhide banner. Sorry, I'm kind of working from memory on this. But yeah, I think he has the Dragonhide banner on him as well. Then we have a second Saber Tusk, a unit of 10 Noblar Trappers, and a Thunder Tusk next to them. And then a unit of 2 Mournfang Cavalry with a Bellower and a Standard Bearer. They also are basically built for defense, heavy armor, iron fist, the whole 9. And sorry for the blurry picture, but in the back corner he has 3 Scouting Man-Eaters. They are Scout and Stubborn with extra hand weapons and full command. So, the demon force, we have 1 Corn Cannon, Up front is my 3 bases of Nurgle scouted up to act as chaff for me. A unit of 20 Daemonettes. There is a Herald of Slaanesh with the Always Strikes First Herald and a lesser gift. She ends up getting the +1 Strength Sword. In the center is Torga Blackstew, a Demon Princess to Nurgle. She is a level 4 caster to the lore of Nurgle and has Chaos Armor. She has 2 gifts, a greater and a lesser. She ended up getting the D3 impact hits and an extra wound, which basically makes her a Slaughtermaster, so I thought that was pretty cool. In front of her are 6 Chaos Fury Mark Slaanesh, and next to that is a unit of 20 Plague Bearers with a Herald of Nurgle in there. He ended up getting 1 lesser gift, which gave him Always Strikes First. And up on the hill, I have 3 Plague Drones of Nurgle. They have poison attacks and the Death Head's ranged shot on them, and they are full command as well. So, Demons get first turn. I decide to whip around the Corn Cannon here and get within range for some Grape Shot. Hope to put some holes in these Man-Eaters before they can come through my flank and start doing some real damage. And then with everything else, I just moved up. I figure the Corn Cannon can handle the Man-Eaters. I'll move everything up so they don't have any really easy charges in case they do break through. And I don't have a whole lot of range, so I really want to get mixing things up as soon as possible. I don't want to mix things up, however, with that big Ogre horde, so I am throwing my Nurglings up front to redirect if they decide to come on too hard. And over here you see on this end, because I can't really march them, I don't want to move the Plague Drones up too far. I'd rather have them be able to react to his charges and his coming forward than to be caught out in the middle of nowhere. So Magic turn 1 starts out pretty decent, nothing of note from the Reign of Chaos table, and I managed to get Fleshy Abundance off on the Plague Bearers here, figuring it would be nice to have that on them if he comes in hard. I also had the Curse of the Leper and the Magic Missile, and I kept trying to do that both to the big Ogre horde, but he wasn't letting me have it, so he figured Fleshy Abundance was a pretty innocuous spell to let me get away. And then during shooting, I totally whiff with the Grape Shot. I think I only get 2 shots off, and I only wound with 1 of them. So now I'm a little more worried. I think those Man-Eaters are going to come in and put a world of hurt on my Corn Cannon there. So we go into Ogre turn 1, and the Sabertusk tries a long bomb charge against the Chaos Furies here and fails it, so he staggers up a little bit. I like this because it means he's still within 6 inches of both those units, so if I can kill it, maybe I can invoke some panic and start breaking up these lines. And over here he runs the Mournfang like crazy, realizing he pretty much has me at a speed disadvantage. He wants to kind of run around and get behind my lines so he can cause some havoc with them too. And I am kind of worried with that. I don't have a whole lot that can deal with that 1-up armor save, so I've got to be very careful with that. And over here, not only did he manage to get in on the Corn Cannon, but he ended up rolling an 11 for the charge, so he's going to get Ogre charge on them as well, which just makes me very, very sad. So I managed to hold his magic down. During shooting, he ends up taking a shot with the harpoon launcher that's on the back of the Thunder Tusk and inflicting a single wound on one of the Plague Drones. So given the what he had available there, I thought I was very fortunate in terms of his shooting phase, because he didn't really do a whole lot with the Lead Belchers, and the template from the Thunder Tusk went wide, so it didn't kill anybody either. But he makes up for that in close combat, where he, between impact hits and the fact that my crew didn't do much, Cannon dies, and I think a Man-Eater took 1 more wound. Also note in that top corner where he put his Sabertusk, because that's going to come important in a few moments. So, you may be looking at this and wondering, first of all, why a blurry picture? And for that, I apologize. But two, you should probably be wondering, how the heck did these Daemonettes get over here? Top of Ogre turn 2, I charge the Saber Tusk, and it goes basically right to where you see those Daemonettes now. I thought it was going to be a failed charge. When I rolled a Resolve, I rolled double sixes. So between that and their speed, they end up touching the thing. So they run halfway across the battlefield, kill the cat, and reform to look in the direction of the Lead Belchers. So that was fairly impressive, because now I'm essentially behind his charge arc of his big group and ready to do some nasty things to Ogres behind his lines. And over here, because of the way he stacked his Noblars ahead of everything, he actually gave me a flank charge with the Nurglings, and it was another long one, but I was rolling really good for charges and managed to slam into the flank of the Noblars, so I don't have to worry about the Noblar trapper bit. And then over here you see how I start rearranging everything. The Furies move over to take the place of the redirecting on the big horde. The Plague Bearers and Torga, the Princess of Rot, move forward to defend, and my Rotflies are coming over to deal with the Man-Eaters and to get away from the Mournfang. So my magic pretty much did nothing, which just proved to me that Torga went into the wrong line of work. Shooting was nothing, because my cannon's dead. And we go into close combat. The Nurglings kill 4 of the Noblars and take no wounds. Noblars break and run. Nurglings try to pursue, but the Thunder Tusk was just forward enough so that I clip the corner of it. So I end up having to close the door into combat with it, and the Noblars make good on their escape. So we go into the Ogre turn, and the Saber Tusk decides he's going to join in with the Thunder Tusk on killing some sad little Nurglings. So I guess we'll see how that goes. I'll be very surprised if those Nurglings are there for very long, but they're tying up those units, so I guess I shouldn't complain. And in an effort to show me that he can do long bomb charges too, the Man-Eaters come tearing across through that forest and slam into the flank of Torga. I gotta admit, I'm a little worried here. I've not played with a Demon Prince of Nurgle before, particularly one that didn't have any exalted gifts, so I'm not sure how well this is going to go. If I get lucky, I can kill one of those Man-Eaters at least before they get to go, and hopefully just thin down the number of attacks, because those guys are kicking out 16 strength 5 attacks, and that can be pretty messy. And then over here, the Ogres just come up to hug the wall. I'm not sure what he's planning on doing here, because he's really got to get rid of those Furies soon, but he's just not ready to do it yet. I think he wants to... I might have a spell on that unit. Actually, I think I do. I think I've lowered their toughness. So he doesn't want to get in to anything until that wears off, which I can definitely agree with him, because those bulls really don't have anything other than higher toughness to protect them. And being behind the wall is not bad. At least I'll get the -1 to hit them if I charge into him. And magic, I think we pretty much hold off, or maybe he gets... Actually, I think he gets Toothcracker off on the big unit, so he's negating some of that toughness penalty. But we go into shooting, and the Lead Belchers open up with something like 22 shots, hit with better than half of them, wound with probably a quarter of that, 7 or 8. It was 7 or 8 shots. And I proceed to roll 6 5-up ward saves. So out of all that gunfire from 2-foot distance, a single Daemonette dies. And at this point, my opponent was just not willing or able to believe it. I hold to the thought that my Ogres recognize me, and no matter who I'm playing, they don't want to hurt me. So they particularly put cotton balls instead of weapons and what have you into into the Lead Belchers. But Unfortunately, he really needed to thin that unit down because I'm going to come in there with a vengeance next turn, and those lead belchers just aren't going to be able to handle that. So combat goes over here, and I did pretty much what I needed to in uh, close or in first initiative because I was like initiative 8 or something stupid like that for a demon prince. I killed the remaining man eater with 1 wound and the other one, so it's just his champion there against me, and he doesn't manage to get any wounds through. But he doesn't break; he actually holds, and that was frankly a little surprising. Over here, the just it was fluff. I mean, nobody hurt anybody, and the units bounced off each other. So we go into Ogre turn 3. Or no, this is the end. Okay, sorry, this is the end of Ogre turn 2, and you can actually see the Noblars rallied as well. But yeah, no damage was done in this Nurgling versus big scary monster fight, which was just ridiculous. So I missed taking pictures of my movement. There really wasn't much. The Daemonettes charge into the lead belchers. The Furies decide to go ahead and get the heck out of the way and charge into the flank of the Sabertusk to try and swing that. But you might be wondering what the hell happened to everything. I'll tell you, what happened was me rolling double ones on the magic dice. So I had to take a demonic instability test with every unit I had. Torga took a wound. All but one of the Furies died. I think I lost a couple of Daemonettes, and the Nurglings took a wound. The only thing that didn't take any wounds, the Plague Drones didn't take any, and the Daemonettes didn't. And you can actually see down here, I did charge the Plague Drones into the flank of that Man-Eater unit to help free up Torga. But not only did I not get magic for crap, but yeah, that double ones on the Chaos table sucks. It sucks bad. So after combat on this side, the Demonettes just do a trashing on, kill half of the Lead Belchers, and it looks like the Lead Belchers gave back as good as they did. No, those were the wounds I took from the failed magic test. I think the Lead Belchers killed one Daemonette, and I think that was during stomps. It was just terrible. But I decided not to pursue them. I figure they'll probably run off the board, and I want to have a flank/rear ready when this Ogre unit moves, so I can go ahead and get them taken care of. So in the top center there, you can see the Nurglings are all gone. They got their asses beat. I think they inflicted 1 wound on the Sabertusk and the Furies did 1 wound on the Sabertusk, and the Nurglings did 1 wound on the Thundertusk, but they just got stomped. They were beat so bad, they just got crushed. So they're gone, which now frees up all those units. Only thing saving me now is that we're playing that pyramid is impassable, so you can't come into the flank there. And over here, between Torga and the Demon Rotflies, the one last sad man-eater gets brutally murdered. And then we remember, at the end of the combat phase, to roll the panic checks for the unit being broken in combat near the Ogre Horde. And the Ogre Horde, with their Leadership 8 rerollable, fails 2 rolls with, I think, consecutive 11s. Runs to where you see them now, which starts a panic in the Thundertusk and the Sabertusk, both of which who fail now that they no longer have the reroll because the main unit is panicking. So from killing the 2 Lead Belchers, the only thing left not panicked at this moment on the Ogre side is the Man-Eaters who are still working their way around the Mournfang that are still working their way around, and that 6-man unit of Noblars. Everything else is terrified by the power of the Demonic Legion. And here is just a picture showing you where the Thundertusk and the Sabertusk have ended up after their flight towards the end of the board. So we go into Ogre turn 3, and the Man-Eaters, or the Mournfang rather, finally make their move and charge into the rear of the Plague Bearer unit. Unfortunately, I think they're a little outmatched now that they no longer have the big Ogre Horde coming from the other direction to help support them. But you gotta give them extra marks for bravery. But I'm thinking it's only going to be a matter of time before they end in a very messy death. Then, to make matters worse, the Saber Tusk and the Lead Belchers fail their rally checks, both of which run off the board. But luckily, the Saber Tusk and the big Ogre Horde succeed theirs. Downside of that is that the big Ogre Horde doesn't really have any good ways to reform, because we don't play virtual pivots here. If you can't spin it, you can't spin it. So they kind of turn around and are stuck, unable to really go laterally. And then you see, so that they get rid of that problem, the Noblars come screaming towards the side of the Plague Bearers. And actually, I think this is after combat. Yeah, the Maneater or the Mournfang actually did a good amount of damage. 3 or 4 dead Plague Bearers. I think I inflicted 1 wound back, but I won combat from static res, and I managed. Or yeah, I won combat. They didn't break, and I spun around. So Ogre turn 4. I charged the Plague Drones and Torga into the flank of these Mournfang, and yeah, the support wasn't there. They're really, really in trouble, right? So I had a great magic phase, got the Plague Bearer's toughness increased by 1, put poison attacks on the Daemonettes to get ready for what's coming, and between the impact hits from my Demon Princess and the all the poison attacks, the Mournfang just crumbled, and everyone else reforms as you see them here. So Ogre's turn 4 basically just kind of spreads out so that he can maneuver around the impassable terrain bit there, and the Noblars just get into the thick of it to block up some plague drones and basically cause nuisances of themselves like all Noblars are wont to do. And here, I think he manages to get the Stubborn spell off on the main unit during Magic, but I managed to hold everything else down, so he's not really making any notable headway with his Magic at all. During shooting, he manages to drop the rock from the Thunder Tusk right on the head of the Demonettes and kill 4 more of them, but I really just don't think he has enough time left in the game to kill the unit, and I'm at this point not likely to run them into that Ogre Horde, so I'm not super concerned about it. So, Demon turn 5, I charge the Plague Drones into the Noblars hoping to get a few more points. Noblars stand and shoot and manage to inflict a wound on the Plague Drones. Then, when I touch the front of them, I roll Dangerous Terrain, fail 1, and kill one of the Plague Drones before they get into combat with the Noblars. I still don't think the Noblars stand a chance, but I love those models so much. They always do great things. And even when they're doing them to me, I totally have to respect the fact that the little bastards are killing off monster cav worth as much as their entire unit is. So I gotta show love there. And during Magic, I think I drop his Horde down by 1 toughness, but I can't get my Shooty spell off because he's not letting it happen. And then we go into combat, and the Plague Drones annihilate the Noblars to a man. So this is the only picture I have for Ogre turn 5, because frankly it was just a Mexican standoff. I don't think either of us are going in at each other, so it's just ticking the clock away, trying to see if any additional points can be scored. And this is the last picture I have of the game. In top of turn 6 for the Demons, I realize that I need to stop screwing around with the Horde, and I decide to turn my magic on the Thunder Tusk. I managed to get off the Toughness drop spell and get through just enough wounds with the magic missile. So I got through enough wounds in the magic missile to leave him with 1 left, but the spell has this clause where you, after the end of it, you take a toughness test or take another d6 strength 5 hits, and he had a toughness of 5, so the only thing he fails on is a 6, which he proceeded to roll, and then took 1 more wound, which was enough to kill him. So I got the points there. The Ogre Horde did not turn and flee, so they're basically stuck facing the entirety of the demonic horde that Torga has brought with her. As the demonic forces backed the ogres against the steep side of the hill, the corrupted form of Torga Blackstew pressed forward to the front. Chog looked upon her gleaming, pus-covered skin with revulsion. It took much to make the slaughtermaster lose his appetite, but what Nurgle had done to the once beautiful ogress was enough to do it. "Great slaughtermaster," Torga said with an insincere smile, "I have showed you the true power that I now possess, greater than that of the Maw or even Nagash. I offer that power to you now. Serve me, and Grandfather Nurgle will exalt you as he has exalted me." Chog looked at the newborn demon princess. He could not deny that she was now far more powerful than she once was. Injured as he was, he knew his magic was no match for hers, and if the bulls who stood with him noticed that weakness, he would have no support at all. But Chog's faith was true. He could no more turn from the worship of the Great Maw than he could have pulled his own heart from his gut, and so he did the only thing he could. He prayed. Torga saw that Chog made no move to join her and smiled sinisterly. "Fine, then. You shall be the first sacrifice I make to Grandfather Nurgle." Torga stepped forward and raised her blade over the praying slaughtermaster, and as her weapon came down, it was knocked from her hand by a screaming Noblar, who was thrown with great force. Torga knew only one ogre who could toss a Noblar like that. "Hello, father," she said as she looked up to the top of the hill. Amidst a small crowd of his tyrannical guard stood Tok'ron Facecrusher in all his glory. The simple greed and cunning commonly on his face had been replaced with a look of righteous anger that even caused the demon princess to step back a pace. "This ends now, Torga. You are my daughter, mine, and I shall not give you up, not even to Nurgle himself." So this was a great game. Obvious victory for the demons. It was a lot of fun. I was pretty happy with where we decided to go with Torga for the narrative, and it's leading to a very interesting story, I think. The fact that the power of Nurgle has allowed her to defeat Chog really means that the only one left in the ogre tribe that can stand against her is her father. So next week we're planning on doing the same thing at a bigger point value to kind of represent the whole forces coming through. But we'll kind of see what happens between Tok'ron and Torga at that point. So as far as the army construction goes, I thought I was pretty strong in terms of the demon army. There was really nothing that I felt like I was lacking. I definitely think the ogre army, it sucks not having that leadership 9. Even with the reroll, you're particularly when your units are spread out like that, it can be rough. But that's why I think I like the Tok'ron, the Tyrant as the general thing better. It allows you to spread a slightly higher leadership. And when you think about it, 1 point isn't necessarily all that much, but it really seems to make a big difference a lot. I still love the 3-man scouting man-eaters. They trashed that skull cannon, and yeah, they didn't stand up against a greater demon, a demon prince. But other than that, they were strong. I was pretty happy with them. And the Noblars, gotta love the Noblars killing the freaking Rotfly. All in all, it was a fun game, though. We had a good time. It's nice to get this advancing of the narrative going and seeing what will happen to the ogres as things go. Because I definitely see the next battle being very pivotal. I mean, if Tok'ron wins, I've kind of got a storyline where that's going to go. But if he loses, pretty much the ogres are going to start supporting Chaos and working directly with the demons, I think. Because Torga will have influenced them to serve Nurgle. So it definitely could very much change the Whitetooth's place in the narrative from here on out. So hopefully you guys will tune into that one. We'll probably be playing it next Tuesday. I'm hoping to have the battle report up in about a week. Uh, Probably next Thursday, Friday, somewhere in that area. Um, all in all, it was a good game. Thank you guys for watching. If this is your first video you've seen, please like, subscribe, comment, show us that you're out there. I do my best to respond to all the comments and answer any questions that people might have. Other than that, hope to see you guys at the next one, and thank you for watching.